Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Clarisse Fortuné and these are the headlines. Round 2 of talks in Qatar between Congo and Rwanda. Officials of both sides met this Friday while M23 representatives discussed separately with Qatari mediators. Does AGOA have a chance to survive America's first policy? The African Growth and Opportunity Act, which is up for renewal, provides duty-free access for products from around 30 African countries. Ramadan, which is about to end, is an opportunity to enjoy traditions. In North Africa, it's a good reason to enjoy all kinds of mouth-watering sweets like chebakia in Morocco or zlabia in Algeria. Qatar hosted a second round of talks this Friday between Congo and Rwanda. Qatari mediators also met separately with representatives of the M23 rebel group. DR Congo President Felix Tshisekedi and his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame met last week in Doha for their first talk since M23 rebels stepped up an offensive in the eastern region. More with our correspondent in Rwanda, Juliette Montilli.
According to multiple sources, another unexpected meeting took place today in Doha, but this time with representatives of the M23 rebel group. They met with Qatari mediators but did not engage in direct talks with Congolese or Rwandan officials. Last week, Rwandan President Paul Kagame and his Congolese counterpart Felix Tshisekedi held their first meeting since the M23 rebels escalated their offensive. Kagame insisted that all parties, including the M23, whom he's been accused of backing, should be part of the political solution. That meeting, along with their call for a ceasefire, offered a glimmer of hope for the escalation in eastern DRC, but the M23, emboldened by a recent series of military victories, dismissed those calls, stating that it was not bound by these statements. On Thursday, the Congolese army had accused the M23 of breaking its pledge to withdraw from the area around Walikale, instead reinforcing its positions and resuming attacks. For now, the details of today's discussion have not been disclosed to the press.
South Sudan's information minister confirmed First Vice President Riek Machar is under arrest. He's being accused of seeking to launch a rebellion against the government. With the threat of going back to war looming, neighboring Kenya sent former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to South Sudan as a special envoy to help diffuse tensions. Kenyan President William Ruto said he had spoken to his counterpart Salva Kiir about the detention of Machar, and Machar's party also issued a statement urging all involved parties to resume dialogue. Businesses in the Kingdom of Lesotho are worried about the fate of the trade agreement between the United States and Africa. The African Growth and Opportunity Act, which is up for renewal, provides duty-free access for certain products such as clothing from around 30 sub-Saharan African countries. But with the US administration imposing an America First policy, the partners are disillusioned. Clémence Valère.
In this textile factory in Lesotho, rows of workers work on sewing machines to produce jeans for the whole world. Many of these garments will be shipped to the United States under AGOA, a trade agreement offering preferential export conditions to many African countries. But since the arrival of the Trump administration, uncertainty looms, fueled by fears that the agreement could expire this year.
We must go and then speak to his Congress, speak to the U.S. government, and then show them the importance of the business relationship that they've been having. And then
AGOA came into effect on the 18th of May 2000, opening the American market to more than 1,800 African products. Excluding oil, Lesotho is one of the main beneficiaries of this agreement on the continent, earning 155 million euros in 2023. According to its leaders, the end of AGOA would have a profound impact on all sectors of the kingdom's economy.
If you were to ask me the same question a year ago or so, around the AGOA forum, I would say we are positive. Chances of it being renewed seemed very high, but at this stage, let me say, it is generally uncertain for us.
Since the start of his second term, President Donald Trump has made radical cuts to development aid in Africa. He has also made a number of disparaging comments about several countries, including Lesotho, which he described as a country no one has ever heard of.
Which nobody has ever heard of.
And USAID cuts continue to wreak havoc in West Africa, impacting key biodiversity efforts. In Sierra Leone, the chimp population in the Loma Mountains is now under threat, with heightened risk of poaching and trafficking in the region. Our correspondent Caitlin Kelly has more from Sierra Leone.
In the lush green hills of Sierra Leone, USAID funding once supported one of the country's largest conservation efforts, but that's now at risk. I'm here at the Takugama Chimpanzee Sanctuary, one of thousands of conservation organisations that's set to be affected by the millions in cuts by the US government. This organisation alone is set to lose thousands in funding, particularly in their operations in the Loma Mountains, a crucial carbon sink and home to over 1,000 chimpanzees. The stop work policy has meant that dozens of eco-guards have lost their jobs. The area around the Loma Mountains is not being protected, and also education efforts for the local community have been pulled.
To us, it's a really, really important place because it's the most chimpanzees in Sierra Leone. There's somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 chimpanzees living in the national park. And without the eco-guards, the protection that they were being given is pretty much lost. But they also serve kind of as an umbrella for the other species that live in that forest. So pangolins, which are the world's most trafficked mammal, and we've got different types of Gentingstiker, potentially pygmy hippo as well. All these very, very sensitive species that if they don't have that protection, they'll be very easy to lose.
The move comes amid broader rollbacks of US climate commitments. Recent data shows that last year the US government spent approximately $11 billion on climate finance, funding that now faces an uncertain future. Conservationists are warning of longer-term consequences, as this funding pull threatens ecosystems, wildlife, and the livelihoods of those working to protect them.
Ramadan is almost over, and Muslims around the world are getting ready to celebrate Eid. The religious month is full of traditions, like in Tunisia, with the Boutbila, the town crier, whose job is to wake people up with a drum for the morning meal. Lilia Blairs and Hamdi Tlili went to meet a Boutbila, also one of the few women for the job.
Munira wakes up a few hours before the sun rises in the Tunisian city of Anfida. She gets ready in the dark, preparing to go wake up fasting people with a drum that belonged to her father.
My father did the Boutbila, and when he died, I took over. I said it's better than doing nothing. I don't think there are women other than me who practice this tradition. Usually it's men, but here people like it. At least they like me.
Munira starts her rounds while most are still sleeping. She shouts, "Wake up to eat the suhoor," the meal before fasting. She knows the names of all her neighbours. Munir is now in her 60s and says that the daily hour of pre-dawn work is not getting any easier.
I'm always tired, but at least people see my effort and help me. I don't have a choice anyway. This brings me a bit of money. I go out, go around, I play the drum, and at the end I make maybe 250 dinars if I'm lucky. And sometimes people don't pay me.
She's proud of preserving the Boutbila tradition, but has to find other ways of making money. During the day, she picks up what other small jobs she can.
See, I collect bottles from the trash to sell for recycling. I also collect stale bread to sell. You can't imagine my life conditions. I alone take care of my sick mother and unemployed brother.
At the end of the month of Ramadan, to thank her for the Boutbila, her community will offer her zakat, or Islamic charity. Munira is playing an important role in preserving her heritage.
The Boutbila has a real role in social connection and community life in the neighborhood. It's someone that everyone knows and who isn't just there to make the round each night. They are paid by some residents. So we need to value their role more.
The service comes with a burden. There are very few Boutbilas still working in Tunisia, with many finding it increasingly difficult to make ends meet.
And staying with the topic of Ramadan, and especially for those who have a sweet tooth, let's talk about pastries in North Africa. During Ramadan, we can find certain specialties on the table which are essential during the festive period. And if you have ever tasted chibakia in Morocco or zlabia in Algeria, then you know what I'm talking about. Clémence Valère had a taste.
These bakers are busy preparing chibakia. The twisted honey-coated delicacy is one of Morocco's must-have desserts during festivities and Ramadan. At Hanafi's bakery, everything is prepared by hand.
For a Moroccan table, if the shibakia and mohtaria are not present, the table is considered empty. Those who suffer from diabetes or other illnesses cannot eat it, but its presence on the table is essential and necessary.
The sweet is usually served with harira soup and tea when breaking the fast in the evening. It can also be found on tables during celebrations such as weddings and births.
It's an old and popular cake. Personally, I can't live without it.
In Algeria, zlabia is the Ramadan treat, recognizable by its orange color. For many, this traditional dessert is a must-have at mealtime. Some are even prepared to travel dozens of kilometers to get their hands on it.
We traveled 40 kilometers to buy zlabia because it's important to us during the month of Ramadan.
In North Africa, the Ramadan pastries all have the same goal: to bring sweetness after a long day of fasting.
Mouth-watering treats to conclude our edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you for watching. More news coming up.